Hello viewers, my name is Oscar Silali, and today at Farmment I'm just going to show you how to check maturity of your chicken and also how to check at a bird that is actively laying. So with me here I have a bird that is actually 5.5 months old, as you can see. So the basics that you have to check from the outside, thing to check is the comb and the wattles. As you can see, the comb and wattles should be fully developed and they're actually very red in color. These are the wattles, this is the comb. Then now you have to check at how the bird is aligned. The plumage is quite good, as you can see. The other thing to check, and which is very important when you're checking for a laying bird, is to check for the pelvic bones. When you talk about the pelvic bones, at the back of the chicken, where the eggs come out through, we have those bones that are actually look like pins on this end. So for those who understand anatomy, maybe can know. So these are the pelvic bones. When I touch, this is the first one on this edge, this is the second one. So you always come with your fingers. We always use the rule of the thumb. When the birds are near to lay, actually they start by, when they are sexually mature and they are almost laying, they go with their 2 fingers fitting. When the birds now are almost like a week to laying, it gets to 3 fingers that fit in the pelvic bone. As the bird goes on with maturity, because also the size of the egg increases, you find that the pelvic bone can accommodate for even 4 fingers. So for this bird that is 5.5 months old, as I told you, this is a bird that actually started laying a month ago. So you want to see how many fingers fit into that pelvic, and I'll assume that my fingers are standard, because we have those who have big fingers, other small fingers, but mine are a bit standard, and actually we'll go and check with that. So I'll start with 2. When I check with 2, I find there is a gap in between. There's also space to accommodate another one. So I'll try with the 3 fingers. With the 3 fingers, I find there's a slight gap remaining. When I go with 4 fingers, not fully fitting. When I go with 3 fingers, they are fully fitting with a gap that is remaining. So with 3 fingers, it shows you that this bird is actively laying. So when it gets to around 6 months, 8 months, you'll find like 4 fingers will be fitting, because it gets on adjusting with time as it grows. So that's a sure bet on how to check that your bird is laying and is actively laying. So when you're rearing this bird, like for example the improved kienyeji, when you find most of them coming into lay at around 20 weeks. So by the time they're around 18 weeks, you find when you try to fit this bone, most of it will be 2 fingers as it's heading to 3. But for this one who is 1 month into lay, you find like 3 fingers are fitting well. With the time when they get to 8 months and above, it will be 4 fingers. So the pelvic bone is a sure bet on to check how if your chicks or your birds are actually actively laying. So you can appreciate this is a very nice bird. The other thing to check on the bird, if the birds are doing well, you check on the breast muscle. This is the breast muscle. It actually tells you if the bird is underweight, if the bird is overweight, or if the bird is within the range. So when you check this, I'll find this breast score of 3 that is heading to 4. This is quite good for the female, because the female from 3.5 to 4, that's the best breast score. But for the females, when it gets also to 5, it shows that the bird is overfeeding and is getting overweight. But when I come to this and I get something like sort of an acute angle, it shows that the bird is not feeding well. So a score of 2, a score of 1 is not good for healthy for the bird. Because if the bird gets to a score of 2 or 1, it shows you that the bird is not into production, because that's a bird that is just surviving. When the feeds are not enough for the chicken or for any animal, they'll actually compensate by making sure that they are alive at the expense of production. So they will not produce eggs, they will not grow, they'll just keep themselves alive, and you'll find they are very thin. But for a bird with a score of 3.5 like this one, is an active layer and is doing quite well.